but it's actually normal. Your short-term memory is built to help you function in the moment, to find your car keys, cross the street, plan a trip to the fridge. But if you really want to remember something, there is a way to lock in details your short-term memory might otherwise discard.
Short-term memory has an inherent limit, so as you recognize the items that you'd like to store, put them in the context, if you will, of a narrative.
In other words, tell yourself a story. Remember those 10 items you saw earlier? How many can you recall when we give them some context?
I'm late. I shouldn't have stopped for this coffee. Hey, but at least it's not raining. I wonder if she'll like my new hat. She just texted me. She's awesome. Hey, I'm sorry. Wow, that construction worker looked like he just wanted to clobber me with his lunch bag. I hope that present I got her is still in my satchel. What time is it? She's late. Maybe she won't show.
Andre! Hi!
There she is. Did she paint me a picture?
Thank you!
See you later. I can't believe she kissed me.
Now, take a moment to remember the story from start to finish. Ready? How many items did you get this time? More than 7? Maybe even in order? It was easier, right?
Thank you!
It's the same reason why you can remember the plot of an old novel, the story of your first school play, or the lyrics to that annoying, catchy song. Anytime you can link items together, connections between neurons strengthen and help move information from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, where it can later be recalled. Some information, however, is so primal, so instinctive, that it makes a powerful impression on your brain almost instantaneously. Like, for example, this. Take a look. Do you know what this is? So, can you tell who this is? Even with minimal information, most brains can recognize a human face. Do you see a face in this cloud? In craters on Mars? How about your lunch?
Our brains are hardwired to recognize faces by binding together simple elements that we're tuned in particular to detect. And second, unconsciously, we're hardwired, if you will, to interpret light and the shadows created by objects to give us a sense of three-dimensional shape.
It happens here within your temporal lobe in a place called the fusiform gyrus. From birth, the brain is programmed to seek out and remember individual faces, sometimes even when they're upside down. Take a look at this face. Does it look okay? Know who it is? It's international superstar Angelina Jolie. Did you notice her eyes and mouth are inverted? Most people don't. Because when it comes to faces, your brain is wired to see what it expects to see. And sometimes even just some of the details, like the shape of the face or a distinctive facial feature, can be enough to allow recognition. To tap into that skill, we've brought you to this police precinct to continue our crime investigation. Do you remember who was arguing? What the thieves looked like? Could you describe them?
Human beings are really great at recognizing people. We have to be good at recognizing people because we have to know the people we've seen before.
Forensic artist Steve Mancusi is putting the facial recognition skills of witness Andrew to the test. The only person Andrew got a good look at was the victim. But 3 days after the crime, can he still describe him? What do you remember? Was the victim's face thin or round? Was he wearing glasses? Perhaps a hat?
Just sit back and relax a little bit, and let me just get that drawing going.
Rotund face, looked of Irish descent.
When we recognize people, we see the small essences that are different on one individual to another.
I believe he wore glasses.
Steve begins with a standard face shape that he can adjust to the witness's description.
Think about his eyes, nose, and mouth. Was there any feature that seemed to be unusual in terms of proportion?
Your nostrils a little more pronounced than they.
Okay, you think it should be a little bit toned down? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that.
After an hour, Steve completes the sketch. Is this the man you saw robbed in the park? Well, here's a real photo of him. Andrew did a pretty good job, right? Which is great, because later, we'll need your help identifying the thief. Now, let's turn our attention to something most of us struggle with every day. Remembering the names that go along with the faces. Meet George, Becky, Balaj, Magdi, and Margaret. You have 5 seconds to remember their names. Got 'em? Do you remember who's who? If you're like most people we tested, you probably only got 2 out of 5. But 2-time memory champ Ron White can do better than that. He's here at Madame Tussauds in Times Square, not to ID the famous wax statues, but to memorize the names of 20 tourists he's meeting for the very first time.
What we're doing right now is the people at the museum are going to walk through the line. Whenever they walk through the line, they'll give me their name, and then I'm going to go through the process that I go through to memorize the name, and as they exit, I will greet them, hopefully by name.
Play along at home and see how you do compared to Ron.
How you doing? Good. My name's Ron.
Amanda.
Amanda? What's your name?
Bolaj.
Bolaj.
Yes.
Magdi.
Yes.
Okay. Magdi. Somebody comes through the line, or when I meet somebody that has a name that I've never heard before, like these foreign names, it slows down the process significantly.
Elisangela.
A Hickey? Benedict? Josh, I like that name. Diana? Doug? Maria? George? Leonardo? Priscilla? Lucas? Dennis? Jane? Hannah? Matthew? Margaret? Becky?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Ron. It's good to meet you, Becky.
How do you think you did? Can you remember even 5 of those names? Let's see if Ron can remember all 20. Memory expert Ron White is hoping he'll remember the names of 20 people he's just met.
Well, right now the group is in the movie theater. They're watching the show, and as soon as they get out, they're going to walk down these stairs. And my mission is to greet every single one of them by name, and we'll see how we do. I'm just running through my head, literally running through the line, trying to remember everybody's name. Hopefully there's no surprises. Doug, how'd you enjoy the show? Yeah? Amanda, how was it? Balaj, how are you? Good. Zach, how you doing? Good. Boyan, did you like it? Did you enjoy the show? Hickey, did you learn a lot? All right, very good. Dennis, you put on a coat, that's okay. Jane, all right, very good. My good friends from Scotland, we got Margaret right here and Matthew right here. All right, very good. I did very good, didn't you see it? Perfect. It was a lot of foreign names in there, so I'm very happy with that. But I got them, I'm happy with that. But the good news is that anybody with training can really learn how to do it and do it just as effectively as I did it.
So how can you remember the names of 20 strangers?
You have to be focused to remember a name. Whenever I see somebody walking towards me, if I don't know them, I'm asking myself the question, what is their name? What is their name? What is their name? And I'm doing that to focus my mind. So in a second, whenever I extend my hand and they say their name, my mind is listening. That's a big part of it. If you start doing that right there, you're going to see your retention for names increase dramatically.
Like the serial numbers on the dollar bills, the secret lies in creating personal images that make each face unique.
The second part, though, is you have to have predetermined pictures for names. Zach has very distinctive eyebrows. He has very distinctive sideburns right there. And there was a commercial back in the 1980s, Zach the Lego Maniac. So I've got Legos all over his eyebrows and his sideburns. And your name? Margaret. Margaret. I use Margarita. Okay. Appropriate. Right. Okay. Let's say you meet a guy and his name is Gary, and Gary's got a big nose. Well, you would see a garage, because my picture for Gary is a garage, and a garage is slamming down and it's crashing on his nose. Then when you see these people 6 weeks later, you're not trying to remember their name. Don't ever say, what is their name? That's gonna lock up your memory. Instead, ask yourself, what stood out to me about that guy's face? What was unique about that guy's face?
And if you don't have a predetermined picture for a name,
What's your name?
Bolage.
Bolage.
Yeah, Bolage.
So Bolage, I hadn't had a predetermined picture, so I saw a ball, like a volleyball, and it had a collage on it. So I saw a ball-lage. So it was the same process, I just had to create the pictures on the spot. Whenever you're creating the pictures on the spot, it takes more time.
okay, now that you're a pro with names, let's return to the scene of the crime we witnessed earlier to test your memory on something more serious. Retired NYPD detective Greg Walsh has picked up 5 suspects. One of them was involved in the park robbery. Can you identify which one? Take your time. Your testimony is very important.
Eyewitness testimony is considered by jury still, and most people, to be the most reliable information. When you go into a lineup, you say, do you recognize anybody? You don't say, do you see the person who committed the crime? You say, no. Do you recognize somebody? Very important that you use this verbiage all the time. Where do you recognize that person from?
Which suspect do our witnesses recognize?
Maybe 5 would be the closest that he could have been the one.
If I had to say anybody, I'd say it would be number 5.
5.
Take your time. All right, now 5. You say that it's number 5. Where did you see 5 from?
I seen him during the crime when he reached into a old guy's bag and took something out of his bag and ran off.
And how sure you were of this identification?
65%. He looked like the criminal that ran away. He just looked familiar, like he was there.
Number 5, he has similar hair.
Uh-huh. All right, is there anybody there that you recognize?
Number 4.
Play number 5.
Number 5.
Of these 8 witnesses, 6 believe suspect number 5 is the thief. Do you agree? Is this the man you would send to jail?